We are going to repot our oncidium twinkles. It's been a couple of days. They've kind of sat for a little bit, and I want to go ahead and get them out of this media and put them in some fresh media. And I'm going to start with this one. And I know this pot probably looks a little big, but if I set it in the center, because it does have those 5 growths, it's got plenty of room to grow for a few years, so I don't have to repot again. So this one is the oncidium white showers, or white shower, sorry. Let me get it in the focus here. Will it focus? There it goes. All right, so we're gonna do that and move that out the way. So I'm going to pot them into some perlite, charcoal, and small bark mix. Let's just see. Okay, not a bad root system, actually. And I noticed that it did have a spike at one point, so it is blooming size. Let's just take all this moss off of here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take all the old media off of them, and then we'll pause, we'll rinse everything off, and then we'll pot them up. So the roots don't look too bad. I see a lot of new root growth on this growth here, and I think they're all producing fairly new growth. They're here, and then while we're in here, go ahead and take off any old sheaths or brackets or all the nasties. Just get her nice and cleaned up. So all of these bulbs are nice and juicy, so there's no desiccated bulbs in there. But this moss does have some algae growing on it, and like I said, it does kind of, in the unboxing, it kind of has a scent to it, so it has been in there for a while. And let's see, I'm gonna rinse the rest of that off under the tap. I don't want to do too much because I don't want to mess up any of the roots. And I'm not going to cut any of these. Maybe I'll cut some of the older ones off. Let's see. Some of these are just kind of pulling off, so I may not have to cut anything. Looks like it was in bark at one time, because there are little bark pieces in here, but there's no bark in the pot itself. It's just nothing but moss. And the moss at the bottom actually says she's probably been recently up potted from bark into just this. Not sure, but either way it goes, we're going to get her all cleaned up and get her a new home so that these roots can grow into some nice fresh media. And grab that off of there. Alrighty. So the thing I hate about this time of the year is people and their fireworks. I enjoy fireworks like the next person on the days when they're supposed to be fireworks. Oh, there's another old spike there. And I think I'm just gonna cut this one off. Let's grab the Fiskars here, and we're just gonna cut this old spike off because it's almost all the way dry anyway. There we go, just put that back in there. All right, well that one is done. So I will go ahead and spray here. Well, like I was saying, the thing is I enjoy fireworks like the next guy, but I have puppies who are sensitive to all the loud noises. And in my neighborhood, they start popping fireworks about the beginning of June, and they go through the end of July. So for 2 months, my poor puppers are freaking out. And it's just the 2 smaller ones. The bigger one could care less. Let me get in between all the bulbs as well here, just to make sure there's nothing in there. There we go. All right, so she is done. We'll put her off to the side. Let me file this back in here. All right, and then this one is, I'm gonna not mess up my tags here. This one is the, which one is this? This is another Twinkle Fragrance Fantasy. I don't know if I get it to focus. Maybe 2 hands. There we go. So this is the Fragrance Fantasy. And if you want to see what the blooms look like, you can go check out the unboxing video. And this looks like it's one of the pots, one of the that will self-destroy itself. I don't know if that made any sense at all. But it breaks down on its own. All right, let's take this off. So this looks like it was in its original. So yep, this moss is not quite as wet as the other. And we have some nice new roots on here as well. So I need to be really careful that I don't damage any of them, especially since she doesn't have the same amount of new growths to help support her. And I do believe we have, yep, we have new roots growing off of both of these new growths here. Let's see if I can get all this moss off of here. But as you can see, she's got some really nice healthy roots already going down into the pot. And again, I'm going to pot her into this pot. I know it looks a lot larger, but again, she'll have plenty of room to grow in there for a couple of years, and I won't have to disturb her. So just massage it out and kind of loosen it a little bit. There we go. And what I might do is run the tap on most of this one, because these roots are pretty good and it's pretty extensive. So I don't want to break any of them. And of course I didn't bring my tweezers. Any other time I would bring my tweezers and never use them. So I was like, oh, I won't need them now. But usually what I'll do with the tweezers is that's what I use to get in between and just pull the moss out, because obviously our tweezers are not as big as our fingers and it doesn't do as much damage. So let me see if I can just loosen this a little bit. There we go. Oh yeah, she's got a gorgeous root system. And again, not a lot of desiccated roots in there. So that is a good sign. And since it's going right back into moss, yep, and there's this, looks like the seedling plug because it's in there really tight. But since they're going back into primarily moss with some perlite, charcoal, and the small fir bark as aeration, they should not even realize that anything has happened to them. Hopefully, that's the plan. But we all know what happens when we make plans. They don't always come to fruition. All right, let's see. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and pause this, run this under the tap and get the rest of this out, just because I don't wanna mess it up too much. Or what I might do, because it doesn't look that bad, this moss actually doesn't look so bad once you get past the top layer where the sun was, or the light was getting to it with the algae on top, is I might just leave what moss is around it. We got a little baby bulb back here that I'm just gonna take right off. And then, you know what? I think I'm gonna take this other baby bulb off too, just to give her more room in the pot and more time to grow. There we go. All right, yeah. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna leave the rest of this on here, and whatever rinses off under the tap will rinse off under the tap. And I'm not going to insist that it all come off. So let me just spray, make it all nice and wet. Get in between the bulbs. Make sure we get all the yucks out. So, but this one does have a new growth here and a new growth here. This right here is the latest bulb that it created, nice juicy, and then it has this one. So that's enough, because this one here is already producing roots, as is this one. I can see some roots coming off of it. So me taking off those two smaller back bulbs are not going to set her back, because she's got enough storage, energy storage in there, that it shouldn't affect her too much. All right, and then, nope, that's moss. I was gonna say she has an old root right there. Nope, that was a root, okay. All right, well, guys, let me turn it off for a minute, rinse them under the tap, and we will be back. Too wet for those roots that are on there to rot. I will just basically make sure that the top layer stays damp and not the bottom layer. Mix it up some more so we don't have just moss. All right, there we go. There's some more. All right, and then I did grab a couple of stakes just to kind of hold her in place until she gets a little more established and those roots get to going. Just kind of spread those out a little bit. All right, grab from the bottom here. And again, I'm putting her in the center just because she does have so many different directions of growth. I don't know where the next growth is going to come from, and this allows her room to grow for a couple of years at least in the same pot without me having to disturb her. So. And again, everyone has their own opinion on pot size, and you know, you should put this one in a smaller pot and that one in a smaller pot. It just really all boils down to your environment, your media, what you do in the meantime. Like I said, this pot is large at the moment, but I feel like the roots are gonna grow in pretty good. And like I said, I'll just keep, you know, the top part moistened until she starts producing roots down to the bottom, and then I'll start keeping the bottom a little more moist. So it's just all a matter of working with what you've got and not overdoing it. There we go. Alrighty, there we go. Got lots. And then I'm going to put a top layer of bark on here just to make sure that we don't have that algae buildup like we did before, because that will of course defeat the purpose. And I don't think I'm going to have to stake her. Let's see, once we put the algae on there, I probably will still stake her though. All right, and I still have to find a decorative pot to put this one in, so that this part down here doesn't build up the algae. So yeah, I think I will stake her on both sides just to kind of keep her protected while those roots start getting established. And this way it's not moving around too much. And I'm just gonna put a stake on either side. I don't really think she needs to be tied down or anything like that. I think I just need to put a stake on either side just to kind of, yeah, keep her from wobbling. So there's that one. And that one was our Twinkle White Shower. I think I'll have to go back and look at the beginning of the video because I did mix up my tags. I know, shame on me, I shouldn't be doing that. All right, so we'll set that one there for now. And then let's get the smaller one. So we'll just take this stuff here and put it at the bottom. And again, let me mix this up a little bit. Some more moss down there. And this is the one that still had all of the moss in it. And so as you can see, most of it got rinsed off with the tap. And I did have to trim off a couple of roots, but not too many. So, all right. Again, let me check for these air gaps real quick before I get her in there. All right. And we've got 2 directions of growth here. So I am going to actually set her back right here. And again, pot probably looks too big, and a lot of people are going to say that the pot is too big, but I will just keep, again, the top of it moistened until the roots start going down into the pot. And it does have air holes in it to help keep this from staying wet too long. And I might lose the spike, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I'd love to see it bloom and come to fruition, but if not, you know, healthy plant means I'll see blooms in the future. So here we go. And then let's see, probably should stake her as well just to be safe. Let's see, there they are. So we will put this one back here. Oh, you know what, I can probably get that back further. Yep, right there. All right. And then let's put this one in the front. And then I'll put this one back here just to hold it in place while she gets settled into her new home. And again, we'll top dress with bark so that we don't have algae growing on the top. And hopefully it's not too much of a disturbance because they were in moss. I put them back in primarily moss. The bark chips and the perlite are more for aeration, and the charcoal is supposedly to keep the moss from getting too acidic too quickly. So I guess this will be a good test to see. And actually, I think I want to stake her on this side. That's like that. There we go. Let's see. Yep, now she's not so wobbly. All right, and then she will go in this decorative pot to keep the algae from growing on her. And there we have them, guys. My 2 oncidium twinkles, both which are white, but one is the all white with like a little orange splash in the middle, and then the other one is orange and white blooms. So like I said, I may have gotten the tags switched up, and if I did, I'll correct it in the editing. But if you guys grow these, you want to do a care collab, let me know. Otherwise, we will see you guys on the next one.